Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Okay, I guess we are now being live streamed.
You can still talk, just no expletives.
Okay, so we can just visit and be our normal unity, wonderful selves, right?
Exactly.
Right. So,
All is well.
okay, and I'm assuming that afterwards we will still stay on for a little bit for a discussion of the message or just a visit. If anyone who wants to do that is welcome to do so. So I see Tina's coming back. So, Alice, have you been going in person to the service?
No, I have not.
Okay. I have not been there at all in person, even though I'm in Charleston. So
No.
just been trying to be really careful. And also, I really like the Zoom.
I
So
do too. I do too.
it looks like Stephen is coming on. Connie is coming on. So that must mean it's 11 o'clock.
It is.
Okay. Just trying to get my gallery view up again. So for anyone who is not in Charleston, like CJ, I know isn't, it's raining here. So the weather's supposed to be, I think the high is supposed to be like 72 or something. So the coolest we had at Canaan Valley this week was 38. So was a little chilly. Some people were turning on the heat. We did not, but was certainly refreshing, let's say. It looks like Janet is speaking at the church.
We're not hearing Janet because the iMac at the AV desk is not unmuted, and I'm trying to get a hold of Dan.
Our songs this morning are led by Jim and something by Jack.
sound is awful because we cannot get the sound through the mixer, so hang on.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river to my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river to my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain in my soul. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain in my soul.
Thank you. That's the way to get going. Are there any first-time visitors here today, or are we all family? Like we're all family. Well, it's great to have you with us, and it's great to have everyone on Zoom. We appreciate you sharing your energy. For announcements, we are still collecting luggage and backpacks for the Davis Children's Center. You can call Pam and arrange a time, you can drop those items off here, and then we make sure they get to shelter. The Sojourner Shelter is asking for coffee and school supplies for the month of September. We have a barrel at the end of the stairs here, the bottom of the stairs. You can deposit those there. We're there again. Give Pam a call and she can arrange time for you to come here, and we make sure they get. Let's see, this Thursday, we will have a service here at 6 o'clock for the World Day of Prayer. This is an annual unity event. You will see in the pews, and I don't have one here. Oh, here you go. I have it. Thanks, Marty. These forms and pews, and all you need to put on here is the name of the person you would like held in light and love on the World Day of Prayer. You don't have to go into a big thing about they need prayer for da 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 da. Just their name, that's all we need. And you can put this form in the communication place as it comes through a little later. Our latest booklet is the spirit of family, faith, inspiration, and healing. These booklets are available in the foyer, on the table there, or there's up here on this table. And this particular booklet is remembrances, I would say, of different family members and how they help this person with their faith, inspiration, and healing. And so I heartily recommend you pick this up.
Hey everybody, we're working on the sound. Hang in there with us. We'll get it figured out here in a second.
Main topics are inspirational teachers, illness and death, marriage and divorce, parents and children. So there was one article in here about family leave the nest and how this person helped get them through that time, which is a positive time for the person leaving the nest, but not so positive for the one who has made the nest home. So these stories are just incredibly inspiring, so I encourage you to get some of those. And let's see, we have over here a clipboard. This clipboard has every Sunday from now until the end of the year. And what we're asking, pick a date, put your name on here, to either read the day's word or to be an usher. This seems like a very small thing, but we can't do the service without volunteers to fill this position. And yes, there usually is, in fact, there's a whole process. So, you'll find that when you step up, volunteer, even if what you consider to be a small way, it is going to richly bless your life. And it blesses everyone who participates in the It's Not Hour. So we encourage you to please take a minute, come and usher or whatever you want. We are also looking for Sunday school teachers. So anyone who is interested in taking the kids back for a quick snack or a lesson during the service, the materials and instructions are provided. So just let Guy or maybe any of the board members know if you would like to step up at that point. On October 10th, our annual meeting will take place. I'm not sure right now if that will be Zoom or in person or a combination. We'll have to see how the COVID numbers are going. But are looking for people to serve on the board. If you are interested in serving in this manner, please Peggy or myself, and we will talk to you about that. You will also find in the queue this form, which is your membership renewal form. This must be renewed annually, and this is the time to do it. So there again, if you want to fill that out, and just put this form in the collection plate when it comes by, and you will get it taken care of. If you are not a member but would like to be, you can fill out this form, and there's a line here that says, please contact me about membership. So you can fill this out and then put a little X there. And there again, take it from there. So that's all the announcements I have for today. And anybody else in the room, anybody else? No, okay. So let's go into the time. If you would, take a moment. You might want to close your eyes. And as you follow that breath into your heart, allow that space to open. This is where we are connected to the divine. And in this divine presence, we are connected to one another. So we invite life and vitality flow through us. Life is the very breath we breathe. We pray affirming that this divine flow of unlimited life energy and flame.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't have control this week from North Carolina, so I'm at the mercy of trying to contact somebody in the room in Charleston. So hang in there. We'll try to get this corrected soon.
My thoughts of being an overcomer always center me. They were whole in my mind, my spirit. God's life flows through my mind, body, and soul, enabling me to overcome all obstacles. Thank you. So with God, I live a life worth to be fulfilling use of my confidence. I may enjoy the challenge of growing responsibility and using my intention to accomplish great things. But if I work hard for too long, I enter into my start claim, and my thinking becomes dull and inspired. Likewise, in the leisure they rob me of motivation and the power of their activity. Spiritual practices bring precious promises to life. Through prayer, eternity, presence God appears. Through meditation, focus my mind and feel calm and grounded. Through seeking affirmation, I find ideas and have no inspiration. In gratitude,
balancing God, the one presence and one power in my life. Let me be weighted in a just
Okay, we just
balance.
got the iMac
God
unmuted so we
know
get
my
the sound
integrity.
straight through.
Job
Thanks for being patient.
31:6.
Know the river knows your name, and your tears are falling like rain. And all around suffering and pain. Know the river knows your name. And the river hears you cry, as the light cracks the open sky. As your mama sings a lullaby. Though the river, she knows why. Let the river wash you down beneath the surface with a rushing sound, like a freight passing through a town. Let the river wash you down. Let the river take away all the words you and I could never say. In the silence, darling, let us play. Let the river take it all. No, the river knows your name. From the bronze to the wabash to the same. No two journeys are ever quite the same. But the river knows your name. No river knows your name.
What a beautiful song. Today, we are very privileged to have a guest speaker. That speaker is Barbie Dahlman. Barbie and I started here in the Valley about the same time, I think. And what I can tell you about Barbie, she doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. In fact, because she had her lesson today all written out, and then yesterday, she went to Snow State Forest. And totally different thought with that. She's like, people don't need to hear that, they need to hear how to do that. So that is what she's going to talk to us about today. When inner wisdom makes no sense. And specifically, she says she'd be talking about how to access that inner wisdom. So give a warm, really welcome to our guest speaker, Barbie Dahlman.
Good morning. I wanted to start with a joke because that's what Sky always does. And I had a really great visual joke, but I talked to the AI there. He wasn't quite sure how to get it up there. So I'm going to let you use your imagination, okay? So I'm still going to do the visual joke. I want you to, I don't know whether you have to close your eyes or just see it in your mind's eye. So imagine a Post-it note. Now, as I say the words, imagine them being written onto the Post-it note. Note to yourself. I told you so. Sincerely, your intuition. We laugh at that. Why do we laugh at that? Because it's true. Is there anyone here who has somewhere along the line done something or not done something, and when it's all done, you say, why do you think it is that we don't follow our intuition? We all kind of know that feeling or that sense. Why? Fear. Somebody talks us out of it up here. Okay, we're afraid we're going to look stupid if we follow that little voice inside. Anything else?
Our ego.
I'm sorry.
Our ego.
Our ego. What does the ego say? I know better. You can't do that. That makes no sense. Seeking external feedback. Yeah, you got to make sure everybody else is on the same page before you listen to what's in here. That's what I want to talk about this morning. It's this idea of like, why do we not trust that? The other piece of that is, has there ever been a time that you followed that sense and then it let you down?
Your inner wisdom has your heart wisdom let you down. How do we know whether it's your inner wisdom? Isn't that the question? If you get a feeling about something and you don't know whether or not it's from that feeling because you don't know where it's coming from. Not quite sure what it's all about. So this morning I would talk about some examples from my life, why we have a hard time differentiating the different voices in our head. Because we all know we've got lots and lots and lots of voices telling us what to do. Which one do we follow? And then some ideas, I think I'd like to end with an example of a guided meditation to give you maybe some access, some insight into your own inner wisdom, if you'd like to do that with me. So the first thing Janet mentioned that I went out to go take course yesterday, I had written down my notes for my talk, and I had it all neatly, like 1, 2, 3. And then I went out to the forest to practice, because I like to kind of walk and talk. I had
that wisdom will speak our language, which is English for all of us. So that if we are supposed to do something, that our inner wisdom should be very clear and say, you're supposed to go over to the store and buy this particular thing. And that's not the way it works. Our soul, the voice of the soul, the voice of God within, doesn't use language usually. Once in a while it does. I kind of think that when it uses language, it's just that we were able to interpret it very quickly, that we're able to move it from the voice of spirit into words that you can understand, that it's so clear. I was thinking about how we talk about women's intuition and, why is that? And I think a lot of it came from the fact that women are traditionally the ones who raise children. And you really, really need to learn to understand what a child needs, right, Kate? And the child is not going to use words to tell you until they get a little older. But you use your intuition. And what is that intuition? It's a way of knowing that uses everything we've got. It uses our instincts, it uses our experience, it uses our faith, it uses our intellect. It uses it all and rolls it together, and it happens so quickly. So we'll get a feeling. And the more you learn the language of a child or the language of a pet, my dog has a certain little yelp when it wants something, and I know what that means now. And so we can get to know the language of our heart or the language of our inner wisdom through practice. If you're learning any kind of language, is it okay to just hit it up every 3 months for 15 minutes? And then are you going to learn the language? Probably not. And to go around and say, I just don't understand it, but I don't want to spend any time learning it. I want to understand it, but I don't want to learn it. we have to take some responsibility here to actually spend time getting to know what the inner wisdom sounds like when it shows up. Have you, or do you feel that when you're out in nature, you're more open? I've heard this from lots and lots of people that, God speaks to them out in nature, or they feel connected to the universe in nature. Do we have that here? Some people feel that way. It hit me yesterday when I was out there why that is. And because spirit, our inner wisdom, our higher selves, speak to us in symbols and feelings. And nature is so full of symbols. Cycles. When you think about different times of the year that you're out there, out in the forest, and I was thinking about spring, and now as fall is coming in, and I had all these feelings about the rightness of the cycles of life. And I had a real sense of peace around that. Then as I'm walking, I see a leaf just dancing in the middle of nowhere, not attached to anything, just there. And I took a video of it because it's just there. And my brain knows that I can go over there and figure out what it is, because leaves don't just dance in the middle of nowhere. They're attached. What that made me think of is that I trust the laws, the physical laws of the universe. I trust that there's probably a spider web holding it up that I can't see, but that it's not magic. It's not some magical leaf just for me. I just trust that it makes sense. So we so often discount the feelings, the emotions, the images that we get when our internal wisdom is speaking to us, because on the surface it doesn't make sense. What if we trusted the spiritual laws the way we trust the physical laws? That it's not just some magical thing. What if this is something I need to pay attention to? And what if you have some faith in that and you trust the laws of the spiritual universe? Might you pay more attention, and might you be less likely to discount? So I wanted to share a few stories with you about times that I paid attention to something that didn't make sense, that was coming to me during a time of meditation. When I meditate, I very often will ask for something. And I think that's what I'll do later when I do the meditation with you, is ask some questions and just see what comes up. And so I very often will ask a question and then wait for an answer. Now that answer doesn't usually come in words. For me, it usually comes in an image. Sometimes it comes in words. Sometimes I'll get a feeling, an emotion, or sometimes I just get pictures of things in my head. So while I was taking it was my second coach training program, and during the first whole thing, when we would do these guided meditations and ask questions, I would always figure it out ahead of time because I was really busy, and I knew that they were going to say, what action step do you need to take this week to move ahead? And I would think, well, I've got to do this one thing anyway, so I'll pick that action step, and then I'll have multitasking. I'll do my homework and something that I know needs to be done. It took me probably 2.5 years before I actually listened, before I didn't already have it in my head what I was going to say. And I listened. One particular time, we had studied judgment and how important it was to let go of judgment when you work with a client, that you can't judge where they are, you just let it all go. And so we were talking about that and being aware of our judgments. And so I came away, after the lesson, I was thinking, well, I'm pretty good at letting judgments go, and I don't think I've really got that many judgments. So during the exercise, the question was, what can I do this week to remind myself to let go of judgment? And in my mind's eye, I saw myself painting my fingernails blue with blue polish. Now, this was 2008. Nowadays, everybody's got blue fingernail polish. Back then, it was just the young people. And I'm in my 50s, and I'm thinking, paint your fingernails blue? Never, never. And I got off, and I thought, what was that? That was silly. That doesn't make sense. And then I thought, I wonder what would happen if I did. I had to buy the polish, too. I felt kind of like self-conscious when I went to the store and bought polish, like I had to tell them it was for someone else and not me. And then as I'm painting my fingernails blue, all this judgment comes pouring in on me. Like, what kind of person paints their fingernails blue? What kind of person in their 50s paints their fingernails blue? Oh, I struggled and struggled and struggled. I didn't want anybody to see my fingernails. You talk about caring what people think, the judgment. And this was something I didn't even realize I had. So wasn't that a perfect exercise for the whole week? Every time I looked at my fingernails, it's like, okay, where else am I judgmental? I remember going for a walk that week out in nature, looking up at the trees and thinking, oh, these trees are so beautiful, but that one would be a lot prettier if that dead branch was out of there. Judgment. Why not be able to accept things as they are? I learned so much about myself that week. Now, there's an appendage to this, and that is that particular week, I was having my first professional photo session for headshots for my marketing materials. So I was really excited about having it all done, and I went to the photographer, and I'm kind of like looking at my fingernails thinking, well, these are headshots, right? Well, there's a shot, and I'll show it to you if I can. This was one of the shots that was taken, which is, if you look in the corner, can you see the fingernails? The blue fingernails. And this turned out to be one of my favorite photos because it shows me I do my work. And it reminded me to listen to my inner wisdom. When I see that photo, I think my inner wisdom knows more than I do. If I had just dismissed it as, that doesn't make any sense, what could blue fingernails bring me? And now I know what blue fingernails bring me, and I'm happy to paint my fingernails blue. So there's one place. Another place, and this was during prayer time, during a quiet time that I had. I said, what do I need to do this week? And I just heard, just say yes. And I asked back, just say yes to what? And I heard, you'll know. And so then I go around looking like, oh, okay, am I supposed to say yes to this? Am I supposed to say yes to this? That week I had lunch with artist Barry Kaufman. We were out at Panera, and we were just like catching up. I did some secretarial services for her at the time, and we were just talking, we were friends, and I was telling her about the coach training that I was doing. She said, oh, that's really interesting. And she said, would you be interested in bartering art lessons for coaching? And my mind screamed, just say yes, while another part of me is going, what would I need art lessons for? And I said, well, let's follow the inner wisdom and see what happens. I mean, I did not want art lessons. That was like the last thing I wanted. Had no interest in art whatsoever. Probably most of you know where this led, and you can look up here. Yeah, right up there is one of the things. It opened up a side of me and continues to teach me that my art has become a place where I access my inner wisdom. And that little voice that said, just say yes, if I hadn't heard that, I know I would have said no. I wasn't interested at all in art. And so the voice was also right. You'll know. Like, you'll know when you're supposed to just say yes. And it was a place where I didn't want to say yes. Ooh. Let's see. Oh, my favorite one. This is when we were, again, it was in coaching class, and we were talking about moving our coaching practices to the next level and to really get out there and coach at a whole new level. Again, guided meditation, what do you need to do this week to take your coaching practice to a whole new level? What do I hear? What do I see? I see this great big church and the voices that say, go to church. I had not been inside a church for like 30 years, and I had no interest in going to church. And I resisted this one for several days. I just went, no. I'm not going to go to church. That had to be, that had to be something wrong. I'll figure out something else to do. Well, the joy of this piece is that I was in a class, and part of my homework was to do whatever came up for me. And so I had two choices, well, three. I could lie on my homework and say something else so that I would get credit for my homework, which I never did in coaching class. Two was I could write it down, say I didn't do it, and get credit off of it, or I could do it. So I said, okay, I think I'm going to just go ahead and do it because I'm one of those people who likes to get good grades. So I thought, well, what is the least churchy church I could go to to fulfill this requirement? We all know that answer. And I don't know, I sat right over there, I think. And I've been coming ever since. I had no intention of ever coming back again. But when I came in here, it's like, oh my goodness, I found my tribe. I found my home. And what better place to take my coaching practice to another level than talking to people that I'm on the same page with? So those are three just giant things from my life that have changed my life. Even though I resisted, I listened and I did. So I wanted to give you a few tips on how to get to that inner wisdom and how to access it. You know, like I said, it doesn't always, you don't just like go into a meditation and say, okay, tell me what to do. And then it reads it out to you. I use a lot of symbolism in accessing my inner wisdom. Recently, about a week and a half ago, I was talking to a friend, and when we started the conversation, he said, oh my goodness, we're on the phone. He says, there is a groundhog in my neighbor's yard. It's the biggest groundhog I've ever seen. And so we're talking about groundhogs and damage they do. Later that day, I was driving up Cantley, and there was a groundhog, like, walking alongside the road. And then the next day, I'm down by the river, and there is a groundhog on the floor, on the ground right in front of me. And I said, okay, let's get the book out, and that's this one. I wanted to show you this Animal Speak, which it just gives you symbolisms about different animals. Now, there's quite a lot of material here about. Is that better? Okay. So there's lots of material. What I do is I will read through and see what resonates with me. Like, what brings emotion? What do you want it to be? You get to do that. Like, what is the longing of your heart? What meaning do you want here? And the meaning that I saw was dig deeper. Dig deeper. And so when I had some emotional stuff come up for me a few days later, I was feeling really sad and I couldn't quite figure out how to get past it. This came back to me, dig deeper. Dig deeper meant I had to go all the way to like cry about it and write about it and find something that was underneath the surface. And when I did, I found the peace. So inner wisdom doesn't always like follow chronologically. Like, it wasn't the sadness first, then the answer. It was the answer first, then the question. That happens a lot. The universe, everything is connected. It knows what's coming up for us. It's all part of cycles. So just be paying attention. So that's one way. It's like if something shows up 3 times for me in a short amount of time, I usually pay attention or look for symbolism. I also have cards. I've mentioned this before. I have these animal cards, and I will shuffle them and pull a card. I gave a whole talk one time about dragonflies. You remember that, don't you? About how I didn't want the dragonfly to be my symbol for the year because I hated dragonflies, and besides there are no dragonflies, and then they start popping up everywhere. And so I chose that for my symbol for the year. And of course, it brought me wonderful gifts, wonderful insights. I also have a tarot deck that I use. That this one's called The Wild Unknown, and it's images from nature. And so, like this one, I pulled this 2 days in a row, so I know this is one I need. The Mother of Pentacles, and it is a doe with her fawn. And when I look at this, the emotions of it, protective and loving, and I see this for me as meaning I need to take care of my inner child and to have some compassion. So it is also an interpretation that you put to things like, what do I need? And when you see it, you can feel that and then act on it. A great way is to journal, to start writing. That is also a really good way to change the language, to try, as you're feeling, as you get images, to put some words with it as fast as you can without running it too much through your logical brain, that stuff will come out. You can listen to music, you can look at art, read poetry. All of those 3 things are the artist's attempt to take something that is spiritual and move it into something that it is visual, something you can see or hear or read. It's that, poetry, when it's well done, you get the emotion, you get the feelings. Same way with music, that you can listen to a piece of music and you don't have to put any words to it at all to get the feelings. I have paintings that some of them are painted from here, and some of them are painted from here. And I was looking at one of them this morning that I painted while it was when my son was getting ready to move to Montana. And I can still look at it now and remember the emotions that went into the painting. It's not obvious. It isn't like, okay, there's sadness, and it isn't like that. But I can feel it. I can feel it in the motion. I can feel it in the colors and the shapes. And so my emotions are right there in that painting. That helped me work it through, and now as I look at it, each time I look at it, I get new messages too of the rightness of it, and to remember, processing those feelings. So would you like to try one of these little guided meditations and see what happens? Are you up for this? And if you don't feel like it, that's okay. You can get your phone out and look down. And check Facebook, I don't care. But if you're willing and you'd like to give this a try, just close your eyes or soften your gaze. And begin to focus on your breath. Let your attention fall on the simple act of breathing. Notice where you feel your breath. Do you feel it in your nostrils? Do you feel it in your mouth? In your chest, in your belly, in your shoulders? How do you know you're breathing? Note, can you tell when you're breathing in? And can you tell when you're breathing out? Now, bring your attention down inside, into the place where your inner wisdom resides. It could be the area of your heart, it could be in your belly, it could be in your abdomen. Where is your inner wisdom? Where do you go to get your answers? Wherever that is, imagine it as a safe and welcoming place. It may be like a garden with all your favorite plants, maybe a stream, maybe some birds singing, whatever feels good and happy to you. And then notice that there's a very comfortable place for you to sit down and relax. And take a seat there. And then imagine that there is a part of you that represents your inner wisdom. There is a being coming, might be a shape, it might be a color, it might be represented in an animal or in a person. But that inner wisdom, personified, is coming toward you. Just take a look and see what it looks like. If it has a face, notice the look on its face. If it's wearing clothes, what kind of clothes? How does it move? And then ask it to take a seat next to you or to come next to you, to be close to you. And be open to hear whatever that part of you wants to communicate. And ask that part of you, what do I need most right now? What could I use a little more of in my life? And just trust. Whatever you get, whether it's an image, a word, a feeling, what do you need more of? And then ask that part of you, what gets in the way? What keeps me from experiencing more of that? And finally, ask, is there anything I could do this week? In the next 7 days, is there anything I can do to move me to the next level? To get just a little more of what it is I need? What can I do? And now put a smile on your face and thank your inner wisdom for communicating with you today. Really say thank you, thank you, thank you. And take another deep breath and open your eyes. And come back into the room. Anybody get anything that they are going to try doing this week? You don't have to share, just put your hand up that maybe a little something came to you. Okay. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today and to share my thoughts with you. I love this place, and I'm so glad I listened when my inner wisdom said go to church.
That was wonderful, Barbie. Thank you. The ushers, please come forward. It's warm in here. And now we'll read together the offering blessing, which is in the bulletin, number 2. Divine love, moving in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, I trust God, and I am grateful.
Barbie, you made that? That's really nice. And I have a song planned. Let me back up. Thank you all very much for being so kind to me the last couple weeks. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad that Ron took a vacation and he asked me to fill in. And earlier during the service, I bypassed something I wanted to say. I had another feeling of something that I wanted to do. I'm going to take the original song that I had planned, and when I was sitting over there and you pointed to that, one of my favorite songs is right over on the other side. I'm going to mash these two up a little bit, okay? Just follow. The second part of this song is going to be a song that Ron wrote, and it's one of those songs that I wish I had written. The first song is over there on the other side, and it's one of my favorite childhood songs. I come to the garden alone, and it reminds me of your walk in the woods. As the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Now, I don't view God as having a gender. So I want to do another verse here.
and keep everything kind of level. She speaks, and the sound of her voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that she gives to me within my heart is rising. And she talks with me, she walks with me, and she tells me I am her own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. When the work is all done, at the end of the day, I sit on the porch and I open my case. I pick out a tune that matches my mood, and I pour it all out through wires and wood. Wires and wood, and a feeling to share, straight from the heart and into the air. Friends gather round, everybody feels good when the Spirit is singing through wires and wood. If I had the money, oh, by the way, if I had the money, if I had my say, I'd just sit right here and make music all day. It lifts up my mind, runs deep in my blood. When I lay my hands on wires and wood. Do y'all know this? Sing along with me. Wires and wood, and the feeling to share, straight from the heart and into the air. Friends gather round, everybody feels good when the Spirit is singing through wires and wood. With the Spirit singing through wires and wood.
Thank you, Jim and Jeff. That was wonderful. Phew. So let's just continue to be in our heart space, which is very easy to do now, and feel divine nature, divine love, wisdom, peace. And from that space, we bless these offerings that come to us from divine source. As we give a portion back into the community to help bless others, we give from an open heart and we receive from an open heart, creating a divine flow of love and peace. We are so grateful for this wonderful church. So grateful for everyone that's here today. And grateful for the message that we are all one with our beloved. And so it is. Amen. And now we'll get in a circle or a semi. We can kind of stand where we are if you want to. And instead of holding hands, we might just want to bring our hands up while we sing the peace song. Any birthdays? Oh, we have a birthday today. Peggy.
We have Barbara Happenstorm and Peggy and Ruth Burdette and Peggy Harmon's husband Dave. Those are Jamie Harmon's husband Dave.